I never imagined that the final day of my life would be witnessed in such an unusual way. At my own funeral, before hundreds of people, a small envelope placed right on top of my coffin, containing a USB drive with my voice. Even though I no longer breathe, I can still speak, still expose the truths they all wanted buried. The funeral takes place in a grand church in Chicago, filled with candlelight and solemn hymns. From the grave, I can't look up, but I've already pictured it. I know who would be there, familiar faces. Business partners, friends, employees, family. They will wear suits, black dresses, dab their eyes with tissues, an orchestrated ritual of mourning. But they don't know this ceremony isn't just for sending off a man. It's about burying lies. And I won't allow that. On the front row sits Linda, my wife. Back straight, face like stone. She knows what's on that USB, and it makes her hands tremble even though she tries to hide it. David, the young man I once thought was my son, sits beside her, lips curled into a smug smile. And Emily, my daughter, my only true blood, sits small and quiet, like an outcast in her own family. Behind them, hundreds of guests. Every single one will be a witness to the words I'm about to speak from the grave. I knew there would be protests. David would laugh, Linda would deny, and Emily would shake. But truth needs no validation. It exists like fire, one spark, and it consumes everything. And this USB is that spark. When the USB is plugged into the screen, my face appears. I'm sitting in my study, shelves behind me, papers scattered. I stare into the camera, eyes weary but unyielding. Hello, everyone. If you're watching this, it means I am gone. But death cannot bury the truth. I chose my funeral to reveal it, because this is the only place where everyone must listen. No one can interrupt me. No one can silence me. I am ready for the truth to speak. The church must be buzzing with whispers, glances exchanged. I can almost see David scoffing, Linda swallowing nervously, Emily, wide-eyed, caught between fear and hope. I pause for a few seconds, letting the weight of my words sink in. Then my voice hardens. You think Michael Harris will be buried with that coffin? Wrong. I'm still here in this voice, in this USB. And from this moment on, every mask will fall. There will be no room left for lies. I can picture Linda's face frozen, her hand clenched until blood rises. I hear David shout in my mind. He's dead already. What's the point of this circus? But I am no longer under their control. I sigh in the video, a breath that carries decades of torment. All my life I stayed silent to protect what was called a perfect family, but that silence blinded me, deafened me. It allowed betrayal to eat away at my life. Today I will break that silence, here, before my own coffin. The air in that church must feel suffocating. Everyone understands the next words will change everything. The screen fades to black for a moment. Then my voice returns, haunting and firm. To understand it all, we must go back to the beginning, to when I still believed I had a perfect family. The screen shuts off. In that frozen silence, the entire hall waits for the door to the horrific truth to swing open. We all want to believe our family is the safest place on earth. I once believed that too. I believed I had a faithful wife, 2 obedient children, and a home worth sacrificing everything for. But the truth is never the same as the picture we paint. I remember more than 2 decades ago when my career began to soar. Harris Industries rose like a rocket. I worked day and night, signing big contracts, building what I thought would be a future of comfort for my family. In the eyes of the world, I was a successful man, and Linda was the perfect wife. Always present at parties with a gentle smile, always by my side like a shadow. David and Emily, my little angels, made me believe that all my sacrifices were worth it. Back then, I looked at Linda with admiration. She was beautiful, graceful, capable of charming anyone. My friends often said, "You're lucky, Michael. Your family is perfect." David, as a boy, was smart and quick, and I proudly called him my son. Emily was shy, gentle, always holding my hand tightly when going to school. Seeing them, I thought I was the happiest man alive. But slowly, I began to notice cracks. Linda was often away from home with vague excuses, shopping, meeting old friends, charity work. At first, I believed her. But the absences grew more frequent. David, as he grew older, was spoiled by his mother, sometimes arrogant and careless. Meanwhile, Emily was often neglected, even scolded by her mother for the smallest things. I wondered, was it just my imagination, or was something hidden beneath this perfection? I started paying closer attention. One time when I came home early, I saw Linda whispering on the phone, panic flashing in her eyes when she saw me. When I asked, she laughed it off. Just work stuff. I stayed silent, not wanting to cause trouble. I convinced myself, my wife would never betray me. But the signs kept piling up. Emily once told me, "Daddy, I don't think Mom likes me. She only loves David." I held her tight, heartbreaking. Why would a mother favor one child over the other? Then one day, coming back early from a business trip, I saw Linda leaving a hotel. Beside her was Mark Wilson, my close business partner. They were laughing, walking closely together. I froze from a distance, unable to believe my eyes. My heart pounded, sweat poured down. I wanted to run toward them, to scream, but my legs wouldn't move. That image etched into my mind, a question mark I would never erase. But that day I did nothing. I turned away, chose silence. I told myself, maybe I saw wrong. Maybe they were just discussing work. I chose to believe because I feared the truth. I feared facing the possibility that the family I cherished was just an act. So I stayed silent, buried myself in work, lulled myself into thinking everything was fine. In the USB video, I stare into the camera, eyes glistening. But that silence destroyed me. It opened the door for greater, deeper betrayal, one I could never turn back from. And then, one day, I could no longer look away. I decided to find the truth, at any cost. The screen freezes. Then white letters appear on a black background. The DNA secret. I tried to lie to myself, but at night, suspicion never let me sleep. And when I finally decided to seek the truth, it didn't just tear my heart apart. It tore my family apart. After seeing Linda and Mark leaving that hotel, I couldn't shake the image. I stayed silent on the outside, but inside, questions consumed me. David grew older, resembling Mark more each day. His walk, his eyebrow raise, his habit of drumming fingers on the table. A chill ran down my spine. Is he really mine? One night, while everyone slept, I collected strands of David's hair and sealed them in a bag. The next morning, I drove to a private lab. I handed over the samples and waited. Those days of waiting were the longest of my life. Me, a man standing on the edge between hope and devastation. David, 18 years old then, confident, often staring at me with defiant eyes. Linda, calm as ever, unaware of what I had done behind her back. When the envelope arrived, my hands shook violently. I sat in my car, staring at the bold letters. DNA test result. No biological relation between alleged father and son. The world collapsed in that instant. I read it over and over, hoping I misread. But truth doesn't change. David, the boy I loved, raised, and placed all my hopes in for 18 years, was not my blood. In the USB video, I hold up the lab result for the camera to see every detail. This is the truth I hid for years, I say. David, you are not my biological son. The funeral hall must have erupted. David screaming denial, Linda hiding behind silence. But I don't stop. That night, I cried like a child. I wanted to hold David close, but also tear everything apart. I loved him as my son, but felt an unbearable betrayal. And Linda. She deceived me inside our very home. In the video, I stare into the lens, voice trembling but sharp. Linda, I know who David's real father is. Mark Wilson, the close friend you once introduced to me. The two of you betrayed me from the beginning, turning me into a man raising another's child. The funeral must have exploded with shouts and whispers. Impossible! But once the test results flashed on the big screen, no one could deny it. I take a deep breath, continuing, David, it's not your fault you were born, but you must know the truth. My blood does not run in your veins. And Linda, this betrayal will stain you forever. Silence. In that silence, every eye would turn to Linda. Her silence is her confession. Finally, I say in the video, but amidst the darkness, there is still a light. There is still one who carries my blood, and I will not let her be buried by this betrayal. The screen fades to black. Words appear. The only child. Amidst all the lies, one truth remains undeniable. I have only one biological child, and she is the last light of my life. When the DNA results about David crushed me, I thought my world had ended. But in that moment I realized I still had an anchor. I thought of Emily, my little girl always clinging to me, the one Linda often pushed aside. For years I watched her neglected, belittled, even rejected by her own mother. It broke my heart, but I knew Emily carried my blood, and that truth could never be taken away. Emily, gentle, timid, raised in a childhood starved of her mother's affection, yet possessing a kind heart and a longing for recognition. Me, a father who once stayed silent, but finally chose to give Emily the truth and everything that belonged to her. Linda and David, sitting in the front pew at the funeral, surely pale-faced as these words echoed. In the USB video I said, "Emily, you are the only one who carries my blood. You always thought you were abandoned, unloved. But no, you are the one I trust, the one I entrust everything to. And Linda, you tried to erase Emily's name from every draft of the will, leaving everything to David. But you cannot erase the truth." The funeral hall must have buzzed with whispers, eyes shifting between Emily and Linda, the air thick with tension. I told them, "Linda once handed me a draft will, excluding Emily, claiming she is too weak to bear responsibility. But I knew the truth. She only wanted David, the child with Mark, to inherit everything. I silently changed it. I went to my private lawyer, signed the final, legitimate will. In it, every asset, company share, all of it, is transferred to Emily." I held the will up to the camera, the red seal glaring. On the video, I delivered the words, "Emily, you are the sole legal heir to Harris Industries. Not David, not Linda. Everything belongs to you." The funeral must have erupted, chairs crashing, shouts filling the air. David screaming, "This is fake." Linda collapsing, trembling. But then the lawyer present would stand and confirm, "This is the original will, notarized and filed." On the video, my voice softened, thick with emotion. "Emily, I know you've suffered. I know you've lived in the shadow of rejection. But today I want you to rise. You are not the forgotten child. You are my only hope. I leave you not just wealth, but this truth, so you never again see yourself as small." Emily surely wept in the hall, shoulders shaking. But those were tears of release. The video paused. White words appeared on the black screen. The shadow conspiracy. My voice returned one last time. "But Emily, for you to stand strong, the truth does not end here. There is still a darkness I must expose." The screen went black, leaving the church in unbearable suspense. "Linda, you thought I didn't know? You thought I was too busy with work, too naive to notice? No. Every step you took in the dark I saw. And today, everyone else will see too." In the USB video, the screen shifts to grainy clips that sharpen into view. Recordings with date stamps, hidden office camera footage, evidence I had gathered for years. In the funeral hall, people must have frozen. No one imagined this ceremony would become a stage for secrets to be played aloud. Linda, exposed in the recordings, her voice cold and calculated. Mark Wilson, partner, so-called friend, but in truth, the betrayer. Me, the man who collected and preserved every piece of evidence, waiting for this moment. Linda's voice rings out in the recording. "Just be patient a little longer. Michael isn't as healthy as he used to be. When he dies, everything will be ours. David will inherit, and Emily, she'll have nothing." The words slice through the solemn air like a blade. Guests stare at Linda in shock. David sits frozen, doubt flickering in his eyes for the mother he always trusted. I play more evidence. Text messages between Linda and Mark discussing money. Photocopied contracts plotting asset transfers after my death. My voice narrates steadily. I stayed quiet for years. I pretended not to see. But when I heard my wife plan the day of her husband's death to gain profit, I knew silence was no longer an option. The hall is hushed. Some guests whisper, "Unbelievable. She plotted all along." The next recording plays. Mark's voice unmistakable. "We'll use David to legitimize the inheritance. Emily is too weak, no one trusts her. Once Michael is gone, you and I will have it all." That sentence is the breaking point. The funeral is no longer a memorial. It's an open trial. Linda trembles, screaming, "No, this is fabricated." But the proof is undeniable. In the video, I continue. "Linda, Mark, I kept this secret only to see how far you'd go. And you went too far. You killed this family long ago. I'm just burying it today." Down below, some guests lift their phones to record. They know this moment won't stay here. It will spread, destroying Linda and Mark's reputation. The screen goes dark. My voice drops lower. "But you were wrong, Linda. My death is not your release. It is your sentence. And this sentence was prepared long ago." White letters appear. The counterstrike. "Linda, you believed my death would free you, but you were wrong. My death is only the beginning of the sentence I prepared long ago." The screen in the church lights up again. I sit at my desk. A safe behind me cracked open. On the table lies a sealed file stamped in red. My voice echoes across the hall. "This is legal evidence. I did not keep it to myself. I delivered it to my lawyer. And today, he is here." In the audience, all eyes turn toward my private lawyer, an older man with silver hair sitting in the second row. The lawyer, neutral legal witness, carrying the original will and files. The FBI, the agency I had already sent copies of all evidence. Linda and David, shaken, desperate to deny. Emily, realizing everything had been prepared to protect her. In the video, I said, "Linda will scream, 'This is fake.' David will deny everything." But justice is not measured by screams. Justice is written in black and white, signed, stamped, and certified. As my words play, the lawyer rises in the church, holding a sealed envelope. His voice booms. "This is the final legal will of Michael Harris, notarized and filed at our office." In the video, I continue. "I signed this will 6 months before my death. In it, all assets, company shares, and properties do not belong to Linda or David. I appointed one sole heir, Emily Harris." On the screen, a scanned image of the will appears. My signature, the notary seal, and dates clearly visible. The hall erupts in whispers. David screams, "No! This is staged!" Linda trembles, pale as chalk. The lawyer calmly steps to the pulpit, opens the sealed envelope, and reads aloud. "I, Michael Harris, bequeath all assets, Harris Industries, and all lawful inheritance rights to my only daughter, Emily Harris, to no one else." The air explodes. Some guests cry, others stand and clap, as if justice finally spoke. Emily buries her face in her hands, sobbing, while David collapses, screaming in rage. Linda whispers, "No, this can't be." In the video, I conclude, "Linda, you thought I'd leave you everything. No, I leave you the truth and the contempt of hundreds of witnesses. To Emily, I leave the legacy, so she knows she was never forgotten." Guests look at Emily with admiration. The once forgotten daughter now becomes the rightful center, the only one acknowledged and protected by her father. The USB screen slowly darkens. My voice lingers one last time. But this is not the end. The will is only the beginning. The true sentence comes when every scheme is brought before the light of justice, and it begins now. White letters appear. The families collapse. "Linda, do you know what hurts the most? This family died long ago. My death is only the burial ritual. And today, everyone will witness the corpse of a rotten family." In the funeral hall, what was once solemn now feels like an open trial. Guests whisper, some sit frozen, others record with their phones. The USB screen glows, my voice booming like an indictment. Emily sits still, tears streaming. Linda trembles, hands clenched till blood. David rages, screaming denials. The more they resist, the more pitiful they become. Linda, unraveling, the perfect wife, now exposed as a betrayer. David, desperate, screaming to cover lies. Emily, crying but slowly growing stronger with every word I left. The guests, silent judges, their eyes casting the social sentence on Linda and David. In the video, I say, "This family ended the moment betrayal began. Linda, you destroyed it with lies. David, you grew up spoiled and deceived. Emily, you suffered most, but you are the last hope. This collapse cannot be undone." In the hall, David yells, "He's a liar! He hated my mother and made this up." But his shouts drown under a wave of disapproving whispers. I play more footage. Linda and Mark exchanging envelopes at a cafe. Recordings of them plotting to sell company shares while I was sick in bed. Each piece of evidence a knife cutting deeper into their reputations. Guests begin to rise, murmuring, "Unbelievable. Poor Michael." Emily buries her face, sobbing. But in her red eyes a fire grows. She knows she's vindicated. David snaps. He charges the screen, trying to yank the cables, stop the USB. Some guests restrain him. In the video, as if foreseen, my voice drops. "David, you have no right to stop the truth. You were never my son. And you cannot destroy what I prepared long ago." Emily stands, crying but shouting. "You have no right! Father was never yours, and neither is this company." The hall gasps. For the first time, Emily rises, confronting her brother and mother head-on. Linda breaks down, lunging to hug Emily, but she pulls away, eyes firm. David thrashes, screaming in vain. Guests shake their heads, disdain heavy in their eyes. The perfect family is shattered before hundreds of witnesses. In the video, I conclude, "Linda, you thought you won. But truth has spoken. This family didn't collapse because of my death. It collapsed because of your lies. And now, everyone sees it." The screen fades, words appear. Justice after death. My voice. But collapse is only the beginning. The true sentence awaits outside. Justice doesn't end in a funeral. It continues in court, where there is no place to hide. The hall sinks into heavy silence. Everyone understands. This is the end of a family, and the beginning of a greater trial. You thought that when I lay in this coffin, the truth would be buried with me. But no, I sent it everywhere. Even as my body rots, justice lives. And today that justice will come for you. In the USB video, the screen shows me sealing a thick file, handing it to a suited man, my lawyer. My voice. It is not only those in this room who know. Every document, every recording, every video has been delivered to the FBI and the press. Even if this USB is destroyed, even if this funeral is interrupted, justice will knock on your door. The hall erupts. Guests gasp. Linda collapses. David breaks down. The FBI, who will begin their investigation after the funeral. The press, who will spread the truth to the public. Emily, who must carry the legacy once everything is exposed. Linda and Mark, who will stand in court. In the video, I say, "Linda, Mark, you turned this marriage into a transaction. You turned this family into a tool for money, betraying honor and love. But now, the truth no longer belongs to me. It belongs to justice." In the hall, Linda screams, "Lies! Michael made this up to ruin me." But her voice falters. No one believes. The USB continues. Bank accounts under Mark's name, shady transfers displayed on screen. My voice. I've sent all financial evidence to the authorities. Every dollar, every fake contract, all traced. You cannot escape. The lawyer stands, raising another file. The FBI has received it. The investigation begins after this funeral. Gasps fill the hall. Phones rise, recording history. On screen, I glare into the camera, voice thunderous. "Linda, Mark, you will stand trial. David, you will face the truth, that your life was built on lies. And Emily, you will be the living witness to justice." The funeral explodes, crying, shouting, clapping. Emily sobs uncontrollably, but her tears carry release. Linda slumps in her seat. David pounds the wall in despair. In the video, my voice softens toward Emily. "My daughter, I know you never wanted this burden. But truth chose you. Live proudly. Lead the company with your good heart. Remember, I did not leave you revenge. I left you justice." The image fades, But my final smile remains, a peaceful one. Emily weeps, whispering, "Father, I promise." The USB dies, black screen, white words linger. The truth may be buried with a man, but it never dies with him. The hall falls silent. Guests realize they witnessed not a funeral, but a sentence, a rebirth of truth. Emily rises, wipes her tears, and steps to the coffin. Her trembling hand rests upon it. "Father, I will do as you asked. Justice will live on." Guests stand together, bowing to the coffin. No mourning hymn remains. Instead, silence fills